So welcome in, everybody. I appreciate you all being here. All of my guests are here, so we're getting ready to rock and roll. Neezy baby, hello. Thank you for being here. How are you? I'm doing okay. I could complain, but I won't. I'm doing good. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm excited. I need to get some guests for April. So, folks, if you like what you see tonight and you want to be part of the show, I'm booking for April. We have 5 shows to book. So definitely check them out. Or if you have topic ideas, I'm open to that as well. All right, Emoji J, we're gonna go ahead and get started. That was my thumbs up. It is 8:30. So Jay, are we good? I just need proof of life to say that we are good. Hello, hello. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to start now. So welcome everybody. Welcome to Middle Ground. My name is Kat's Roar. You can call me Kat. I'm very excited for everyone who is here tonight. We are diving into the topic, does misogyny and violence in music influence listeners? Kind of can be a hot topic, has been a hot topic through the years. So I thought it was something interesting to talk about. So before I introduce my guests, I'm just going to kick off a little bit about a portion of the show that I like to call the facts are the facts. So as I mentioned, it's been a long time debate, as to whether or not misogyny and violence in music has a profound effect on listeners or maybe not at all. There are some studies that indicate that misogynistic language appears frequently, have found that misogynistic language appears frequently in some music genres, particularly in rap, hip hop, and rock music. I looked at a 2019 analysis of Billboard chart-topping songs, and they found that a significant percentage of those popular songs did contain lyrics that objectified women or framed women in primarily sexual roles. Female characters in those lyrics often were portrayed as sexual objects, manipulative or gold diggers, or disposable romantic partners. Some of the artists that were highlighted, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, are Eminem, NWA, 2 Live Crew. I can remember listening to 2 Live Crew as a child, which is crazy. These artists are also credited with pushing boundaries of artistic freedom, which I think sometimes if that fuels the debate, it's a fine line between artistic freedom, freedom of speech, and then looking at it, from the other side of the table. Violent imagery in music includes reference to assault, murder, domestic abuse, or even revenge. Violent storytelling is often used as a narrative in storytelling, similar to crime movies or novels. We see that oftentimes in music. Some songs may depict violence as survival in harsh environments, retaliation, and often gang culture realities is also highlighted in this type of music. Some artists that might come to mind might include Tupac, Notorious B.I.G. or Biggie Smalls, Ice-T. Those are just a few artists to name a few. When we look more at the academic studies of this type of music, it really ended with some mixed conclusions. So they say that exposure to misogynistic lyrics have been linked to a higher of aggressive towards women in certain studies. Additionally, violent music content might temporarily increase aggressive thoughts or emotions in listeners. Conversely, other research finds that most listeners can separate entertainment from real behavior. Okay. Social environment, upbringing, and education have a far greater influence than the music alone. So it's looking at the music and maybe some of those factors of the listener. So just wanted to kind of share that bit first. The other thing that I would end on is that in 1985, and some of you may remember this, the Parents Music Resource Center, it was called the PMRC, pushed for warning labels on music. I don't know how many of you remember that. And that led to the parental advisory label that was put on music at that time. So it's funny, I have a sweatshirt that says that I should have worn that tonight. It would have been fitting. But, you know, that was a big push there in the earlier or mid 80s that definitely shaped music and perhaps how we look at or how we listen to it. So with that said, I'm going to ask my panel guests to request the box so that way you can introduce yourselves and we can get started. Hello, hello.
Oh.
Hello. All right. So thank you, everyone. Let's see. Okay, Bruce, I'm gonna kick it off with you. If you can introduce yourself and maybe just let us know anything you have coming up, when we can find you.
Yeah, I go by Bruce Wayne on the app, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for doing this, Cats. What's up, Dadashish and Mondo? What's up, everybody? As far as when you can find me, I stream pretty much every day. I have a show every Monday night, Mental Health Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As far as what I have coming up, just check my IG. I encourage everybody to do that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Mondo, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, I'm Top Batch Mondo. I do stream in the evenings. Have my fave parties on every Tuesday. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Great. Thank you so much for being here.
Top Bad.
And Dadashish, I'll end it with you.
Top Bad Dadashish. I stream every day during the evening. You could catch me probably, well, starting in the afternoon, probably 12 o'clock to like 5, and then I stream during the night from 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock and so on. I host a fave party every other Thursday at 9 o'clock, and big glow day tomorrow. Come get your faves up. That's about it. And I host a hide and sheesh every Saturday at 10 o'clock. So if you're interested, DM Cat, DM me, or you can DM Pressure, Master Pressure.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So let's jump into it. How this will work is I will pose a question. I will mute those who are not answering the question at that time. You'll have up to 3 minutes to respond. And then it's up to you if you wish to counterpoint, or respond to one of your other panel guests. You'll have a minute or two to do that. So my first question that I want to dive into is that, do you think that misogynistic or violent music influences listeners at all? Or does it simply reflect the reality of society today? Bruce Wayne, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. So I also did some research before coming on the show. And misogyny in a general sense, we have to first take a step back, right? Misogyny in a general sense is the belief that men are superior to women. And that in a general sense is kind of a twisted mentality. And as far as your question goes, do I believe it can influence people? Absolutely. I think music influences a lot of people's thinking. People use music when they're depressed to get out of depression. People use music to get out of a lot of different situations when they're in their feelings. Now, warning labels can only do so much. Warning labels, I remember when I was a kid, you couldn't even buy a CD, a compact disc, if you were not a certain age. But now with YouTube, with Spotify, and being able to stream music so easily, that is not really a mercy that we have anymore at our disposal. So people and kids, minors, can have access to this type of music and definitely be influenced by misogynistic lyrics. That's unfortunate. The other thing that I wanted to say about this is it's not just about the lyrics in this music. It's about how women are treated in general in the music industry. They're not being paid equally, for example, to men and the women in the musical industry. They're being objectified sexually, like you said. So yeah, this is an issue, incredibly. So I would say it's something that definitely has to come to light. I don't know who's going to take a stand against it because, like you said, some of the top musical artists are doing this. And I believe that freedom of speech is something that we have to take seriously. Freedom of speech is something that everybody should be able to take seriously and have at their disposal. But if it comes to the point that we're discriminating people based on their sexual orientation or gender, then that for me is when it becomes a no-no. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Let's see, Ashish, I'm gonna jump over to you. Same question.
I'll say yes to both. Some people, so it also depends on the person. It also depends if a person wants to be a follower. So some people just listen to music because they can relate to it. Some people listen to music because they like music. Then some people, like what he was saying, so like somebody might look up to somebody, right? So a rapper, and like, okay, this rapper is doing this, so I should do that and try to be a follower instead of lead themselves, you know what I'm saying? And just listen to the music. So I feel like, yeah, it influenced some people to do negative things. It could go both ways because music has to do with life. Music is life, I believe.
Okay. And did you want to counterpoint anything else that Bruce Wayne had said, or are you?
I agree with Bruce. He said a lot. He definitely said a lot. I agree with him.
Okay, thank you. Whoop.
Hey.
What are your thoughts?
So I kind of wrote some stuff down just to make sure I can remember things. So I would say yes, music does both. It reflects what's already happening in society, but it can also influence how people think about the behaviors. For some listeners, it's a storytelling or an expression. But for younger audience, especially repeated messages and things like that, the real issue isn't so much the music, I feel. I think it's the media, the culture, and the environment that all interacts together.
Okay.
So that would be my thoughts.
Okay. And did you want to counterpoint anything that either Sheesh or Bruce Wayne said? No. Okay. Thank you. Whoop. Oh my, can you imagine if I ended the whole live? Okay, here we go. Bruce Wayne, did you want to counterpoint anything that either of these gentlemen said?
No, I think they had great additional comments. I think that was all well said.
Okay. Sheesh, I'm gonna jump back over to you. And so when we're specifically looking at the lyrics, whether doesn't matter what genre of music it is, or do you think that artists should be held accountable for what it is they are saying in their songs? Or is it really just artistic expression and we should view it that way?
Back to like what Mondo was saying, some people are basically expressing their life stories. Like, for instance, when I rap, when I make music, I'm expressing my life stories or something I've been through, or maybe one of my friends, you know what I'm saying? Something that my friend been through and he can't express it in lyrics, so I could do it, you know what I'm saying? So I say no, because at the end of the day, like when we was younger, what did our parents tell us? If your parents tell if your friend tells you to jump off that bridge, you're gonna follow him, you're gonna jump off the bridge with him. So that basically everything you see or everything you hear, don't be a copycat. Be yourself at the end of the day. So no one told you to go outside and try to shoot somebody because you heard something. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it comes with being a follower, and you gotta have the willpower to not do it, to know what's right and what's wrong. It's okay to listen to music.
So just a follow-up question to that. Let's talk about our younger generation though. So, we hope that as folks get older, they have more sense, more life experience. to be able to distinguish right from wrong, or what, what they should do. But let's say I'm a 10-year-old kid listening to, I don't know, Eminem. And, I may not necessarily have the life experience or the maturity to distinguish, hey, that's not right, or that's not good. Do you think there's any liability to that performance?
I feel like that's also comes with a parent also. So I'm gonna know what my child is doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be 24/7 on them, but I'm also gonna be knowing what my child is listening to. All right, what kind of music you listen to? What you like, you know what I'm saying? So you would know if your child is, most people, you're gonna know if your child with the, if they listen to violent stuff like that. So if they are into that, you can try to pull them away from it, or you let them know that what you see on TV and what you see on on YouTube and what you do, don't follow that. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to listen to the music, but it all goes back to that. Stop being a follower. You know what I'm saying? You have to make your own decisions.
Okay. Thank you.
And sometimes we learn from.
Nope, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was done. I was just gonna say sometimes we learn from when it's too late, but
Okay. Thank you. Mondo, what are your thoughts?
Artists should absolutely have freedom of expression. But freedom does not remove responsibility. Music reaches millions of people, so artists should at least be aware of what impact their actual words have on people. Accountability does not mean censorship. It means understanding the influence that comes with having that platform. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, censorship. That's a big word, I think, to connect to all of this. Censorship is not necessarily a positive word, so definitely a consideration. I would agree that when we're looking at this. Anything else you wanted to add, Mondo?
No, that's it.
No? Okay. I think I'm just going to leave everybody off of mute because you know what? The button pushing is going to turn into a hot mess. Bruce Wayne, to you, the same question.
Yeah, I think these guys did a really nice job answering this. I look at this in the eyes of my 10-year-old daughter, and I think about if she got her hands on this music, how would she be influenced and things like that. And Dad Ashish said it really well. And not everybody has guardians, not everybody has parents to kind of protect them from this type of stuff. But it also brings me back to the point that we have constitutional rights as Americans. We have freedom of speech. We have protections under that kind of stuff that we can do and say what we want. So I don't think we should have any sort of say over what a rapper or what a hip hop artist or what a rock star, what a country artist does with their music. But I do believe that Mondo hit the nail on the head. We are responsible as role models in the industry. What do you want? What do you want your brand to be for your fans? Okay. You're in a position, you're making millions of dollars. Do you really want that to be your brand, to make people go out and commit these crimes? I don't think that's ever going to be somebody's answer to be yes, right? So it's a tread lightly kind of situation for me. So just be responsible with your actions, your words. You can still sell millions of albums and not be that kind of way. And it's all about respecting people, it's all one love stuff, and just being responsible with what you got putting out there in the world.
Gotcha. Thank you. Did anyone, Mondo or Dad Ashish, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Sort of. So basically, as in like you see, for instance, Little Durk, right? These rappers that talk about violence and stuff like that, they get locked up and they get arrested and they go away for a long time. So the kids that see that and they're like, oh, I look up to Durk, I look up to this person. You should see that and be like, all right, I don't want to end up in his situation. You know what I'm saying? And take that and run with it and do the opposite. You could still make music. You can still express your feelings. You can still talk about your lifestyle, whatever you've been through or whatever. But you ain't gotta do what you see. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not living that, then don't try to be someone that you're not. You know what I'm saying? So I also say that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Definitely.
Yeah, a good point. Well,
accountability is gonna always be taken for it. That's why, like I said, you see these rappers want to talk about what they're doing, they want to talk about all this stuff, and then they get locked up, and now they confused on why it's happening to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about the other side of things. There's also the record labels. So, they are signing artists and essentially paying artists to make this music, right? Do you think there's any responsibility there? Mondo, I'll start with.
Yeah, I think there is some responsibility there. I think they shouldn't promote, people to promote violence and to live a lifestyle that they actually don't. I'm sorry, y'all. So,
No, you're fine. Okay.
so I don't think they should be able to promote violence. I don't think that if you're paying an artist to live a lifestyle that's not them, I think you should allow people to express through music freely, but not something that is not them. And to pay them, that's not cool, because it promotes something else, and then they end up being in other things that they didn't want to be in. So
Sure.
that's not.
Okay. Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, we have to remember that record labels' number one goal is to make money. But we also have to keep in mind that it shouldn't be at the cost and expense to jeopardize and be malicious towards other people. So I do think, to answer your question, should there be some accountability and responsibility? Yeah, I do. Yeah, whether or not lawsuits and things should be flying around if somebody goes out and kills somebody because of the song, I'm a little bit weary about that, because again, it goes back to the freedom of speech. You should know what you're getting into when you listen to a song. It goes back to Dad Ashish's point. If somebody tells you to go jump off a bridge and you actually do it, you got to take responsibility for your own actions at some point. But it's pointing fingers. It's a catch-22 for me. So it's a great question. I'm glad we're talking about this. I don't know. I'd be curious if there's some precedents and cases that record labels have been held responsible in cases like this. I don't know the answer to that question.
And I wish I did know the answer to that question. And I want to say, though, that there have been, some cases with that. I know I can think of associated with like video games and things of that nature, but maybe throughout the years, I'm pretty sure there have been some legal cases where, something happened and, they blamed the music that the person was listening to. I don't think, though, that they ever turned into successful cases, but I do think that there have been some cases through the years.
Sure.
For sure. Dad Ashish, what are your thoughts?
They basically said it. I feel like the accountability part, yes, I feel like, acknowledge, that in reality, some of these things they're doing is like, so it's like a trend. They know what's trending. These kids out here making drill music, let's get some more drill music. You know what I'm saying? These kids out here doing this, these females want to, twerk and stuff like that, make all this twerking music. So let's get some more females that want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like take accountability, but it shouldn't be no strong responsibility, because at the end of the day, it's your decision. Your decision. When you get in trouble, when you get in trouble and you see that judge, you can't be like, he told me to do it. The judge gonna be like, well, you shouldn't listen to him. When your mom, same thing. You shouldn't listen to him. Why'd you go outside and do that? So at the end of the day, you gotta take accountability, but not everything's they should be responsible for. And like what Mondo was saying, perfect example, 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine is a kid, he's a good kid, he used to make music, but he was a janitor and he wasn't really in that lifestyle. He started making music and having people around him for protection and stuff like that. And then in reality, this kid is not really who he say he is. But the label is going to make him look like that. You know what I'm saying? We want you to go out there trolling. We want you to go do this because it's going to make you money. It's going to make us money. This is what's trending right now. Everybody that's trolling each other, talking all these things on, the violence and stuff online, Instagram and stuff like that. And it goes back to, you do have some followers. People want to be followers. You can't blame the person that was being original.
Sure.
You're being a copycat. You know what I'm saying? Be yourself. That's it. Yeah. So, yeah.
This is a question kind of off the cuff, but made me think. So, when I was a young person, my parents never censored the music that I listened to. And I'm thankful for that in a way. But I can admit that I listened to probably some pretty racy music as a young person. Now, I wouldn't say that it had a negative influence on me. I think because I was well rooted, you know what I mean? But my parents never censored the music that I listened to. But now with the element of social media, because that didn't exist when I was young, you know, early teens or whatever. Do you think that kind of adds to this conversation, just in that, okay, we have this music, but now there's so much more sensationalism, if that's the word I want to use, about those songs or those artists or the visuals that you might see associated with some of that, or even, you know, not to be funny, we'll use twerking music. I think Dadashish mentioned that, you know, you can go on Instagram and you see females twerking, you know, or dancing seductively, and again, that's nothing wrong with it, but it is, you know, something that young people or impressionable people can see. Do you think that kind of intensifies the concern in a sense?
I think this all goes back to what the guardians of the children and minors are doing. Like, for example, my 10-year-old daughter only has access to YouTube Kids. She's not going to be on there looking at these music videos with all this content and stuff. So it's how much control do we have over what our children are doing on their iPads, on their phones and stuff like that? And if that's not happening, I do feel bad for the child. But yeah, do I think it has an impact? Absolutely. Those music videos objectify and have misogynistic tendencies a lot. But at the same time, those women in those videos are making a choice to be part of that environment.
That's true. Yes.
So that at the same time, if they're trying to have this equality and all this stuff, but yet they're being objectified willingly, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. Dadashish, did you have a comment?
I was thinking about basically being responsible, and like the person that is deciding to make that choice to make that music, you have to be responsible for that. You know what I'm saying? And back to what Bruce was saying, when you have your child, and sorry for the, you know, the kids that don't have their parents doing that, that's on it and stuff like that. But you as a parent, you know, all right, my child is on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. You know what I can do? I can stop that. You can stop it to where it's stuff that's 18 and older. You know what I'm saying? It cuts that off. They can't even click into it. You know what I'm saying? Certain videos they can't even watch, because my sister used to do that with my niece. So I know that's possible. You know what I'm saying? It's on you. Do you want to make that choice and make that, you know, responsibility? And you know what? Me as a parent, I don't want my kid doing this. Let me sure I let this off, and I'm gonna let my child know. You know, it's also like, let your child know what to be looking forward to when you listen to this, when you go do this, when you go, you know what I'm saying? Like, tell them, like, all right, you want to go do this, you know that if you end up doing this, the responsibility, or how should I say, the consequence will be you're going to jail, or the consequence, you want to twerk, then you're gonna have people looking at you less of a woman. And it's not saying it's okay, but that's just what happens with society. That's just how it is.
Well said.
Okay. Mondo, did you want to add anything?
I disagree with both of them. I think they kind of summed everything up. But yeah, you should also be responsible for how you conduct yourself. And then also, if you have children, definitely, you know, explaining the what and the why behind why you shouldn't listen to all this, the impact it may have on you. Because they'll start growing up calling people, and then they'll start going to school when they act like they are a thug and all these things that they are not. So that's just being mindful and being responsible for yourself and then who you are impacting.
Absolutely. And so it sounds like you all collectively agree that your parent, your guardian, or, you know, whoever is that responsible adult in your life has a responsibility or an accountability to a minor child, right? Mm-hmm. With that said, kids, or, you know, those under the age of 18 spend a lot of time in school. And a lot of times school teaches children more than just academics, right? Mm-hmm. You can learn a lot of things that you don't want your child to learn, whether it's from other students or whatever. With that being said, do you think that schools should take some responsibility in educating and or protecting, I'll say educating children or young people about this type of thing, about misogyny or violence in music, and you know, similarly, we'll compare, I'm not going to compare music to drugs, but I'll use the comparison of just kind of having a campaign, you know, to protect children and to educate them. Sheets, I'll start with you. Do you think that's something that's neat? I hate those eyes, sorry. Something that's realistic or needed? And maybe
I
it's
mean, I feel like maybe focus on stop the violence and stuff like that. Focus on the violence, what's going on, and basically, I don't feel like it might be needed, but I don't feel like it's the teachers and the school's responsibility. Like, but I think ain't nothing, it can't go wrong. You know what I'm saying? Only thing you could do with that is help. So that's what I say with that. Towards that.
Mondo, what do you think? Do you think
I
schools
agree.
should?
I don't think it should be the teacher's responsibility. At the end of the day, it's the parents or their guardian who is um, raising that particular child, and they should teach them to want to do right. And just because you go to school and Bobby Joe is doing something, that I mean, you go ahead and do what they do. So
Mhm.
teachers should encourage, like Dada said, to not promoting violence, educate them. You want to go further in life. These are the things that you want to start doing versus going this direction based on what the crowd or the trend is going. So I don't think that responsibility should be all on the teacher.
Good point. Good point. Bruce Wayne, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, teachers are mentors, right? Teachers are mentors. They're supposed to set our kids up for academic success, and parents really take the onus of these kinds of conversations. However, I was fortunate enough to play sports growing up, and I think this could be a good opportunity for people like coaches to kind of take the bull by the horns and really kind of have real conversations with their athletes, and say, hey guys, I know you're going to be listening to this during warm up and stuff, but let's make sure we're just listening to pump each other up instead of really take this and do something silly with it. That's what I would do if I was the head football coach of a high school potentially, but not everybody's going to do that. But that's just an idea that popped into my head.
Okay. Okay. Did either of you want to respond to that?
So like what Chrissy was saying about like how to educate. So educate them, but you could also, let's say, people that was in those negative, doing those in that negative lifestyle, you could bring them in because I used to go to this masjid, right? Where you pray and stuff like that. So I used to go to this masjid, and used to be this guy that used to live that lifestyle, and they would bring him in, and he would basically just try to scare straight you. You know what I'm saying? Tell you his lifestyle, what he been through, what you don't want to go through, how he was, wounded and stuff like that. He's been shot, he's been stabbed, stuff like that. So he was basically scare straighting kids. Like if you do this, this is what you're looking forward to. Some will follow it, some will start doing good, and some, do what they want to do. But it goes back down to you're responsible for your actions. You're responsible for your own actions.
That's a good idea.
You know what I mean? But you gotta stay on it with the kids. I feel like as a grown up, you already know better. You know what I'm saying? So if you just want to go do something out there and be silly, then that's on you. You want that consequence. You knew what's happening. You see it happening all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Bruce, earlier in the show, you had talked a little bit about kind of the imbalance with men and women in the music industry, whether it's from a pay perspective, but also I talked about how women are objectified in music, and men are objectified too, for sure. But it is the majority of that is occurring with women. So why, I guess the question is, why do you think that, or if you think, but why are male artists seem to be praised more so for this type of music, while female artists, you might think of like Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, some more current artists who do some very sexual or explicit type of music, but they seem to be criticized for very similar content when men are celebrated. Any thoughts why that happens?
I wish I had a really good answer for that, but I think it just goes back to stereotypes and what people really expect from the industry. And I was doing a little bit of research on this, and they did a study out of the UK, and I think it goes back to, this has historically been a boys' club, especially in the record label industry. Not always, but it's kind of getting a little bit different. And I wish I had a better answer than that, other than stigma and stereotypes. But I want that to change. I really do. I wish it would change, and I think it is getting there. I am starting to see more female artists. Record labels are starting to sign more and more of those people. So I hope it does kind of shift in that direction.
Mondo, what do you think?
This reflects a large double standard in the society. Men are often praised for being explicit or dominant, while women are judged for expressing their same level, but it's confident in sexuality. It's less about the lyrics, it's more about culture, expectations of gender. That's just what
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I agree. I think the expectations and also like the way society is, and then it's like some people, not to say no shade to nobody, but like women are looked at at a higher standards. You know what I'm saying? So as like, oh, you're a woman, you gotta cover up. You gotta, you know, protect yourself. You can't be looking dressed a certain way. If you dress a certain way, then that means automatically you giving yourself out to guys and stuff like that. Where guys are known as, what do they say? Females say dogs, right? Guys are known as dogs, known as this. So it's more like how people made it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's basically how the society made it look, and like it's like okay. And then it's sometimes also feel like when you see a guy like Moneybagg, right, and he makes a song and he's talking about a girl, do this, do that, da, 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 and then there's a female dancing to it, going to it, he's gonna automatically think, oh, I'm gonna make some more music like that because it's gonna attract. It's dancing. It's a vibe. Whereas some females, they're not trying to, you know, look at no type of way or be, how can I say, because I'm dancing, now you look at me less than a woman. When I feel like back to figure of, what's it, free speech. Why can't she do what she want to do as long as she know how to do it? You know what I'm saying? As long as she not really showing too much to everybody. And it goes back to stereotype.
Yeah.
All stereotype.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Because a woman could listen to something, right? And like I said, a woman, she will listen to something like the song. They won't look at her in a way if she's just singing the song. But if she's lit and she's twerking to the song and doing some crazy stuff to it, then it's like, oh, she easy. When it's like she just like the song, she like dancing. You know what I'm saying? She might like her body or whatever it is. That's about it though.
Okay, so yeah, so you know, from what all of you were saying, the double standard, but you know, I think it's just coming more to light because women are more explicit. There are more explicit female performers than there ever have been. Do you know what I mean? So it's become more acceptable in that regard, but there's still an imbalance of how men and women are viewed.
So can I ask a follow-up question and get your guys' opinion on this? So if I was a songwriter in the music industry and I had this really, really hit song that I was going to come out to market with, and we can use it in the rock industry, the hip hop industry, doesn't matter. Who do you think the record label would go to first, a man or a woman right now in the industry with that song?
I feel like it also depends the vibe, what kind of song you come with though.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying in a general sense. It does depend on the song.
It depends on the song.
Yeah, I'm saying historically, where do we think that's going? I don't know the right answer to that. I'm just asking in a general sense.
I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to say.
That's why I said it depends on the vibe, because most of the time, like if a guy is making violence, they're gonna go to the guys. Some females are gonna make a little violent stuff like that, but it depends on the vibe. Now, if it's like something club, like if you saying like something that's like doing where for the club,
yeah,
maybe a female, you know what I'm saying? Because that's strippers and stuff like that, etc. You know what I'm saying? So the female's gonna get that. She's gonna get that first. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, when it comes to a guy, if he wants to talk about some drill stuff, they're gonna go to him first because they know that it's the face. It also comes with the face. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So the cover, it goes with the face too sometimes. So
okay,
it depends on the song.
Sure.
It depends on the vibe. It depends,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So Mondo, can you enjoy a song even if you strongly disagree with the lyrics or the message?
Yes, I believe you can enjoy the song as long as you understand the message or you're not agreeing with the message. Because a lot of times I like the melody of the song. So I'm not so totally agreeing with the words, but I like the melody. I like how they mixed it. So I'm listening more for that, not so much the words. So I believe you can.
Okay. Bruce Wayne, what about you?
Yeah, I'm big on lyrics. Don't get me wrong. The lyrics are tugging my heartstrings a lot of times, but I'm with Mondo. I like the melody, the beats, and all that. If it makes me shake my booty, then I'm all for it.
I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm the opposite. I go by lyrics. I like lyrics. I like to listen to like I like the beat. It has to have a good beat to it. And a lot of people, like what you were saying, a lot of people don't notice that when you listen to music and you're dancing to it and you even singing the song. Some people don't even notice what they're singing. You know what I'm saying? You don't
I'm
notice who's
guilty of
singing.
it.
Like sometimes, not to no shade, but sometimes let's say it'd be a song and it'll be a female singing it, but he's degrading the woman the whole time, and she like it because the beat is what caught her, not what he's saying. It's the beat that you know what I'm saying that's catching your attention. So I always knew that. So once I started getting more into music, I said every time I listen to somebody, I'm gonna have that ear to listen to your lyrics, what you're saying, the ad libs, the punchlines, and all that. You know what I'm saying? But that's different because I'm into music. Like I'm really into music, so I kind of study people when they do music. So I feel like, yeah, you can. You know what I'm saying? You can put a song on and not even know what you're listening to, and you be back to the be the beat. You know what I'm saying? But the whole time you're like, what you was saying that? Oh no, you just said some crazy things on there. I don't agree with.
So Sheesh, let me ask you this. So if you were a performer, you were signed to a record label, do you yourself feel that you would need to have a moral responsibility to young listeners with the music that you're putting out?
Yes, I have morals for myself. So whatever I put out, I'm not gonna put out because, and that's maybe would be a problem for me. I can't put out what they just want me to put out. You know what I'm saying? Maybe in the beginning I could try to put some things out, but it's like it's gonna be a problem for me because I want to be the real me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to be able to let you know my story, let you know what's going on, or whatever it is, how I'm changing my life, how I changed my life. I don't want to be someone that someone else want me to be. No copycat. So I feel like, yeah, like I would definitely to a certain extent because when you sign something, you know what I'm saying? When you sign off to that thing, you agreeing to basically whatever they tell you, you going tapping in with. So that's why before you sign that paper, you tell them, listen, I want this, I want that, and this is how it's gonna go. But if you don't, then it's kind of in their hands. It's kind of in their hands when it comes to signing industry.
Bruce, what do you think? Do you feel that you would have moral responsibility for the music that you're putting out, especially with young listeners?
Yeah, and the short answer, yes. For me, one of the most important values that I uphold is integrity. And for me, integrity means doing the right thing even when no one's looking. So for me, I wouldn't change just because I got famous. I would tell my story of struggle, my story of inspiration, and hope that sticks. Right? I'm not going to be trying to be the most famous person in the world. I would just try to inspire people the most I could, and people are either going to hate me for it, they're either going to love me for it. But the people that love me for it are really, really going to love me for it because they're going to really, truly understand what I have going on in my music.
Sure. Good point. Mondo, what do you think?
Yes, I definitely agree with both of them. uh, but yeah, I definitely agree in your morals and values of yourself. I don't want to put anything out there that I'm not in. Like, I don't want to promote something that I don't agree with. I think it's important that you should put out what you want people to remember you as, not as something that you're not. So, I would, yes, morals and values is important.
I guess a follow-up question, and feel free if you want to answer this, but do you think that, we all have different life stories. We all have experienced tragedy or hard time, or, we all have very different stories. Do you think, though, that there's a way, and I'm just winging this question as it's coming to my mind, that we can still express maybe times of violence or difficulty in our life, or even times of love and lust in a way that is not explicit in music? That's an odd question, but do you think that there's still a way to express those life experiences, because they are life experiences perhaps, without them being explicit?
Yeah, as somebody that writes songs myself, I've been through substance abuse history, I've been through trauma and all that, and I put that on paper. I don't have one swear word in there. I don't have one misogynistic viewpoint in there at all. And I believe I make a very clear point in all of those lyrics. So I think the answer is yes, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too. When you actually write things that are heartfelt, or it's real, it impacts people differently.
Sure.
You're writing things that you've been through, the trauma, the hurt, the pain, but you overcome and look at where you're at now. People want to hear more of that. People want to know how they can get out of that situation. So yes, I agree. You can't be explicit or sexual.
Do you, okay, so a follow-up question for all of you. Do you think though that music kind of loses some of its authenticity if violent or misogynistic content is removed? And you know, let's just think of some of those popular artists today, you know what I mean, that I mentioned, you know, whether it's Eminem or, you know, Megan Thee Stallion, whoever. And does,
Yes.
if we simply say that's a no-no, does that take away from the authenticity of those
Yes.
artists?
I
See?
feel like yes, because they're not being themselves in reality in certain ways. But that's why it's called, growth. But I feel like, all right, if Tupac wasn't being Tupac, would y'all still listen to him? You probably wouldn't, because in reality, he wouldn't be Tupac. He'd probably be somebody else. He'd be talking about some other stuff that not everybody can relate to. And that's what you gotta understand too. Not everybody's gonna like to listen. Not everybody's going to listen as an artist. Let's say me as an artist. I have to understand everybody can't relate to me, so not everybody's gonna want to listen to it. Not everybody's gonna like what I'm gonna say. But if you don't like what I'm gonna say, you also, there's nothing wrong with not listening to me. But I also feel like the violence wise, when you talk about drilling them, when they talk about killing and stuff like that, you don't gotta say this gun and I attach this gun to this and I put a stick on this and then I put a scope to this, because now you're just making other people feel like the kids thinking like, okay, let me be a follower. Let me go get a stick. Let me go get a Glock with this on it. You know what I'm saying? With a switch. What does a 10-year-old know about a switch? Because he heard, like you said, he heard a rapper. So if the rapper would have just said like, I lost my bro in this situation, you know what I'm saying, and expressed himself in a different way, maybe that kid would have been like, dang, he lost his friend. His friend got killed. I don't want to lose my friend. I don't want to go through that. I could listen to this, you know what I'm saying? You're talking some real stuff, but I ain't gotta do this. So I feel like it wouldn't really be the same. It's just also how you word things too. Like Future, perfect example. My son, nobody probably really knows about him, but my son, he changed his life. He was a guy that took a charge 17 years. He did 17 years in jail. When he came out, he still raps about certain violence, but he basically is trying to tell you how you can change your life and how you don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Everything you're going to lead yourself into doing. And you talk about all the young kids being followers, stuff like that, but he don't promote violence. You know what I'm saying? He don't promote violence. He promotes positivity and change and growth. So that's him as a perfect example. So it's how you deliver it. It's how you
Absolutely.
deliver it.
Bruce Wayne, did you want to add anything there?
Yeah, I think if you take that stuff away, you are going to take away a lot of what the music industry is about today and what people expect from the music industry. You know, if I'm in the mood to get spicy, I know exactly the artists I'm going to turn on. So if you take it away from those artists, then I don't really get my bang for the buck from those artists. And it goes back to the constitutional right of freedom of speech. So yeah, I think if you take that away, it'd be a detriment to the music industry, and they wouldn't be making the money they make today for sure.
Music is life.
Mondo, your thoughts?
I agree with both of them. If you take that away, it's definitely going to change a lot of things. People who you once thought they were their lifestyle, and then you find out that if not, it's going to be something that will change the dynamic of everything in the music industry. So it's about money with them. It's about property. Sex sells. You know, they know what sells, so that's what they're going to promote. That's what they're going to look for.
For sure.
It's about you wanting to deliver a different message and not be explicit that way. So that's what it's about.
Might take a little longer, but you can get there.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
The thing, your message that you want to convey to people, like, is it this or that? So,
Yeah.
Because perfect, this faint, like, perfect example, Kurt Franklin, where he at? He got money, you know what I'm saying? And he ain't promoting no violence. That's why I had to use him as an example, because he ain't promoting no violence. So if he could do it, then you could do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just that at the end of the day, whatever you're doing, you can't give up on it. You gotta push. So if you want to be an artist and you want to really be an artist and you want to go this way with it, and you don't want to have to do all the violence. And I don't know how to say that word. How do you say that?
Misogyny?
Misogyny. You don't want to be on that type of time. Then there's ways to do it. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to do it.
Okay.
But always be authentic.
I think it's always being honest with yourself about what you want to promote. It's kind of like with Mace. He started off in the rap industry promoting one thing, and now he switched. Now he's a preacher, you know what I'm saying? So it's about a message that you want. You value yourself totally different. So you don't want to convey that message. I'm not going to keep doing it no more. But he took a stand, and, you know, it's working out for him.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's why I say some people do things to get them in the door, and then they just, you know what? I don't want to do that.
Well, let me ask a question, and this is my closing question before we move into the last segment here. We just have about 10 minutes left. So is there, and this is an odd question, but I've had conversations with people about this before. There are a lot of performers over all the genres of music that sing and write lyrics about that is just storytelling. It's not based on reality.
Right.
So it's just, just a story. And it's not anything that they've lived, survived, or been through. And then, of course, you have artists who truly write about experiences. Is there a difference when it comes to the consideration for the content of that music? So, for example, if we're looking at, I don't know, Biggie, you know what I mean, where he truly lived a certain lifestyle and wrote music around that lifestyle, versus someone like Drake, who
That's why I was laughing.
grew up in Canada. No, I hear this a lot. Who grew up, in Canada with his turtleneck on, and he often did not actually live some of the stories that he's telling in his music. Is there a different consideration when it comes to this conversation? Meaning that, is it more offensive if it's made up than if it's not? Is it more acceptable if it's made up or if it's not made up? Just a random question, and I guess asking your random thoughts on that. Anyone can start.
It depends on what type of music you like. So if you like music that is, authentic and people that's being themselves, then you're not gonna listen to it so much. Like me, I don't really listen to Drake so much. I'm not a fan of him, you know what I'm saying? Because as a kid, my little sister used to watch Degrassi, right? And I would see Drake in Degrassi. So the first song that I heard from Drake was Started From the Bottom. And I'm like, bro, we at the bottom over here. We came from the, the gutter. We came from the, poverty and stuff like that. You ain't come from that. You ain't start from the bottom. So what do you mean? You started from the bottom at what? In Hollywood? I'm confused, you know what I'm saying? So once I heard him doing that, I really didn't like him so much. So I don't really listen to Drake that much, you know what I'm saying? And I'm also on the authentic, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Whatever type of painting it is, whatever type of lifestyle you live, whether it's good or bad, whether you just going to church, whatever it is, be yourself. You know what I'm saying? I always tell people, be yourself, because at the end of the day, someone is going to see it. Someone's going to notice it. That's not you. And yeah, you might not care about it when they call you out, but at the end of the day, I'd rather be looked at as, all right, he was authentic than he was a fraud. You know what I'm saying? He was a cat.
But is there a greater
goes back to morals? Some people don't have.
Do you have a greater concern? Meaning, do you view music about, real life stories versus just made up perhaps for the industry or the glamorization.
But that's why sometimes we never know what's real, right? Unless it follows. Like some of these rappers, they get in trouble. So all right, you know that's real. He's doing this, he's doing that, he's saying he's getting in trouble for the things that he's saying. Not saying it's okay, because it goes back down. He got, he's going to deal with the consequences. But I would respect it more. I respect it more. Like, so yeah, like, yeah, I can't do it.
I agree. I think when you have a message that is real, authentic, it lingers longer. People will keep playing your music over and over again because the message was real, versus you having something that was just a great beat, and people know that you're a fraud. You don't write all your own music. So don't write your stuff. They're gonna get wind of that, so they'll pay attention to the songs that are real. You don't know the songs that are real that he actually wrote, because you can feel it, versus something that you like. Nah. So I'm big on lyrics, but I like beats and melodies as well. So
yeah, I agree. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Authentic messages stay longer with me versus you making up something, talking about lifestyle you didn't live or something you never experienced.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with what these guys said. If I understand your question, Kat, I think maybe you were asking, is there an accountability that needs to be had if it's a real story versus maybe a fluffy story, or is there responsibility had? Is there a difference? I don't think there is, to be honest, because they know what they're doing with their songs, and they're intentional with their lyrics. So whether it's a made up story or whether it's a real story, I don't think it matters. If you're misogynistic, you're misogynistic. Whether it's real or fake, I don't care. If you're gonna play that game, you know what you're getting into. So I don't think it matters. I think you have to take an accountability for your brand, what you want to portray to your fans. And you know who doesn't know the difference for sure? Minors. They definitely don't know what's real and what's not. So we got to be really cognizant of that for sure.
Great point. Well, listen, I want to thank all of you, Bruce Wayne, Top Badge Mondo, Top Badge Dadashish, for being part of the discussion tonight. My goal with this show is not to sway any of my panel guests or the folks in the audience to think like me. It's just to think. And I think having discussions about real topics and real things that are affecting some of us, if not all of us in some way, is a positive thing. So I appreciate everybody for being part of the discussion this evening. I think there were a lot of similarities that were discussed this evening. And depending on the topic, sometimes it just goes that way. I think everybody here kind of agreed that there is some responsibility, especially when it comes to youth or minors, and the music that they are able to access and listen to, that there's responsibility in the home. School isn't necessarily a place for responsibility. However, should perhaps be a consideration when it comes to music, but a good conversation nonetheless. So again, want to thank everybody for being part of the show. And let's hope maybe that we found some middle ground this evening. I will see everybody next week. This is the place to be, 8:30 every Wednesday. So thank you, everybody. And I appreciate all of you. Have a good night.
Appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Hold on. Later.
All right. And thank you, everybody, for the gifts. I'm sorry if I didn't acknowledge them during the show. Just hyper-focused on the discussion. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you so much for the gifts. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, if you'd like to be a guest, I'd be thrilled to have you. We have 5 shows coming up in April. As I mentioned, they're every Wednesday at 8:30. The topics are posted on my Instagram. You can send me a message on Instagram if you'd like to be on the show. Or if you have any ideas for topics, I'd love to hear them. So again, thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week.